Hi, I'm John, and today I'm going to be talking about MX Linux. It's going to be kind of a casual review, nothing too heavy duty, and not a lot of technical stuff. I'm just an average user of Linux, an everyday daily driver user, and I'm just going to go through all the different distributions one by one. And today I'm starting off with MX Linux, the XFCE version, and this is as of January 30th, 2024. Let's just take a look at some of the system things so I can give you an idea of what I'm running here. The computer that this is on a separate SSD drive that I put in. I had an extra one laying around, so I took it from my other machine because I really wasn't using it, and then I put it in this machine. I also have Linux Mint on this machine, but the two are completely separate on different drives and boot accordingly. I've got a kernel here. It shows 6.1 dot, blah, blah, blah. But it's basically kernel 6.1, and it's XFCE desktop, so it's the real light desktop. And then also it's based on Debian GNU Linux 12 bookworm. That's the version of Debian it's based upon. So what's nice about MX Linux is it doesn't have something that's based on Ubuntu that's based on Debian. It's all just based on Debian. So it's more of I think a direct link makes sense to me. I'm not sure if that makes any difference or not. You should know something about this computer that I'm going to be testing all these distros on. It's a Hewlett-Packard. It's a 500-314. So it says here that the model is dated back to March 26th of 2014. So this is nearly 10 years old. So it's not a new computer, and I think that's one of the important things is that you can revive old machines with a Linux desktop. It's not going to eat up so many resources, that type of thing. I'm going to take a little drink as I'm talking here. Okay. So, that's basically the background. I've got 16 gigabytes of memory and an AMD processor. It says Radeon R7. So if you're into all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really matter to me, but it might matter to you. And if it does, there you go. Now you know something. So my first impression when I booted up MX Linux, it really is just a clean feeling when you boot it up. That's one of the things I like about it. It's got an XFCE desktop, so it's that real, down-to-earth basic desktop, but it really comes off very clean. It just boots up really fast as a result, and it really is pleasant as it comes up on the screen. It's great. So let's just take a look at a couple of things. This is the desktop, obviously, and one of the things that you have with MX Linux is the Conky toggle, which you can take that on and off. So you've got some of your system information there, the time, the hard disk amount used, the memory used, and the CPU. Right now, you can see that in the upper right-hand corner, and it's 7:57 p.m. And so, that's one of those nice little things. But that comes in a lot of different versions. So I'm going to type in Conky, and I assume that's how you say it. Okay, hold on just a second as I get used to everything here. You know what I really thought as I've been using it is that it really is really has a nice feel to it. And I've been using Linux Mint, Kubuntu, and a lot of other distros. But this one, I see why people really like it and why on DistroWatch it's like number 1 or 2 typically. So anyway, I'm going to take off the Conky mild blue, and we're going to try something different so you can see that. So there you go. You can have this system information, and you can get really heavy duty. You have all these different pieces of information that you can have on it. I'm not so much into that because I just want to know what's going to work. And so this is the one that comes by default, but maybe we should pick something other than that. That's called dead beef. Not so much. Let's go for comfort. No. See, sometimes I'm going to say that probably the basic one that it comes with is probably the one to do. So let's just do that. So that's how that works. It typically boots up this way with the dock on the left-hand side, and you'll have all your live applications up here that you're running, and then system tray with Bluetooth and your connection, that type of thing. It's going to be all down here. One of the nice things that they do, too, when you come right onto the first screen after you've installed, is you have this user manual that they put right on the desktop. And, it's pretty basic, but if you're a brand new user to Linux and you haven't been using it at all and you're coming from Windows or something, this is helpful. And it's nice that it's right there on the desktop so it can answer any question you may have. It's also got a FAQ and frequently asked questions. Is it a rolling distro? No. When Debian base changes about every 2 years, it changes. So it's really, basic questions and things like that you may have about MX Linux. So, my general feel on this so far is it's clean. It's got the dock to the left-hand side. Now, you could put that on the bottom, but you know what? I'm starting to come to a point where I think I like the left-hand side, and they say it gives you more screen space, that type of thing. And it could be. So what you get, you have a power button up here, a logout button. The file manager is called Thunar. Not really familiar, but once again, you can kind of see how clean it is, how, just nice and vibrant the colors are. Really nice. And once again, I can see why people like it just for what it is. It's just really clean and good looking. So that's really cool. I'm running OBS on it right now. And I've also, in OBS, no problem running it, I've also added some things, some filters for audio and stuff like that. I also, I downloaded the Brave browser because I don't like Firefox, and so I've stayed away from that. And it comes up real good, and here's DistroWatch. So you'll often see MX Linux as top on the page hint ranking. And, I'm not quite sure, it doesn't seem like it would be that way because it doesn't have a lot of promotion with it. I even think Mint and Ubuntu and others have more, but it's based on Debian, and, it has that feel. So anyway, that's kind of how I'm basing it. One person in the comments said, why didn't you go from the bottom up? And, there's some 250 distributions, and some of them aren't anything I would ever touch. I don't know about you, but it's not meant for a desktop. I'm talking about for an everyday user. Time to take another drink. In Minnesota in January, it's extremely dry and uncomfortable, so you got to hydrate a lot. It's a dry cold. It's not a bad cold, but it's a dry cold, and that makes it easier. So I use Brave, and then you'll have the terminal up here. I think I put this on the dock itself. If you open up a program, it's real easy. Once it's open, then you can just say, pin it to the dock, and then it'll put it right there. So it makes sense to do. There's the package installer. Let's talk about that real quick. So it's pretty easy to find packages. Like I said, that I had installed Brave, and as you can see, I've installed it. These are things that are installed, and actually I'd like to uninstall Firefox because I don't really like it. And I'm going to put in my password. I'm not showing anything that a basic user wouldn't know. I'm really thinking about people that were switching from Windows to Linux. So here it's doing an uninstall. You'll see this screen on both uninstall and install of packages, that type of thing. So it's finished it. I'll hit OK. That's great. And let's see if there's another program I might want to install. I mean, you can do different desktop environments too. So this really gets a lot of its pedigree from Debian. And Debian gives you the option for lots of different desktops that you can use on it. The only thing I don't like about Debian is I didn't like how it installs. It seems to be a kind of, the install function I don't think is very good, but this is like Debian and done right, I guess, is what I'd say, because it's just such a clean, nice, easy to use desktop. I put PhotoFlare on here too. PhotoFlare you can get in a flat pack, and you can add flat packs to MX Linux. And I like PhotoFlare because you can open up a file and manipulate it very easily without having to know too much about a graphics program like GIMP, which is pretty extensive, that type of thing. And then, of course, it comes with LibreOffice, which is great, and I use it all the time. Once again, an everyday user is not going to have a problem with this particular Office setup. I mean, if you're used to using Microsoft Office, you'll have no problem with this. It basically functions the same. No problem at all. So you can do kind of a PowerPoint type thing. They call it Impress. Do the candy template. Let's see if it comes up. See, it comes up quick. And it's very fast, 10-year-old machine, nothing fancy, but it's breathed new life into this machine. Not just MX Linux, but any Linux version is going to do that. But what I found out about MX Linux is that it seems to be, that very stable environment, but having that higher kernel, which is 6.1, it's going to be good with even newer machines, I think. Somebody can correct me in the comments if they're inclined to do so. But it's a basic desktop that can get a lot of things done. They also have, I'll show you a couple of things that I really like. They have a whole bunch of MX tools. So you've got a live USB maker, boot repair, cleanup, lots of different things that you can do to make it better as a system. And you can tweak it that way. One of the nice things about MX Linux is the right click. Now, a lot of desktops still use the right click will be create a folder, create a document, all that kind of thing, or open in a new window. task manager, file manager type thing. But one of the things this does, and I haven't seen others do this, and maybe I've just missed it, but if you right-click and go down to Applications, you've got your entire menu of all your different programs that are on the computer. It's very convenient, very easy to use. And when you're doing that, not only can you access all these different programs that you have, but you can also access MX Tools with just a right click like this, and then do any kind of tweaking that you want to do. Just a nice XFCE environment. You're going to have your menu down here if you want to use that. But I'm going to tell you that the right click and going to the applications that way is just much easier, much faster. I can see where I won't even use the corner menu in opening up programs, because this is so much easier just to right click. So, it really, my impression is it leaves a really good taste in my mouth for just a nice, clean environment, a distribution that can run anything for your desktop, for your daily driver needs. I mean, I almost look at this and say, you know what? I never thought I'd say this, even though the XFCE environment is, I'd say, a little more archaic. I would say that I almost want to dump Mint and use this instead. I mean, it's really clean and clear and crisp. Just the way it handles the video and everything seems to be really good. And I think you get a clarity to the letters and everything on the screen. There's just something about that that's really good. So anyway, once again, a lot of people say, well, why don't you just use Debian? I've done that, and I will do that, and I'll show you some of the things why I don't like it as much. This gives you, I think, the best of a modern desktop with all that stability of Debian without being Debian. So that's just my general impression. I could do all my work on this, could install just about any program. If you like the XFCE environment desktop, then this is really a good choice for that, because it gives you all that and just the real nice setup that it has. I see why people get this a lot, and a lot of people in the past, in comments, in videos, have told me, why don't you try MX Linux? And I didn't quite get it until I started to play around with it here this last week. And with these distros and looking at them as an average user, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these, getting used to them or anything. I'm just going to say my general impression is, yeah, I totally dive into this and have this be my daily driver. There's no problem with doing that. Very stable. I haven't had any glitches, any problems, and I like it. I like it very much. A lot of these distributions are going to have a lot of similarities, and we're going to see that. But I get why people like this and why they like Mint and Ubuntu and all these others, these mainstream Linux distros that are probably making up 90% of the use factor out there. I think that's, what you're going to see is these desktops that really put it all together, and the people behind them obviously know what they're doing. So I love it. I think it's a good distribution, and it's something that I think people will enjoy. And just kind of a quick overview, nothing too technical. I just know that the way I use Linux, the way I use my PC, this would definitely be on the list as one of those I would like to use all the time, and almost want to dump Mint. I mean, I like Mint, but I'm not as wild about the Cinnamon desktop. And I like XFCE, I like KDE, and Cinnamon is, in my mind, okay. And I hate to say that. because I'm a big fan of Linux Mint. But this is something that's, just really good. And I think they've just tweaked Debian to a point that it becomes good for the average user. So anyway, that's it. That's just my quick, non-technical, basic review. Let me know if you have any comments down below, and subscribe if you want to, or like it, whatever you want to do. And if you don't like it, you can always leave a comment that way too. Anyway, that's it. You have a great evening, and we'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.